one of the shows I was most looking forward to this year was The Mandalorian Season 3. And we got the Season 3 premiere last week. I thought it was a pretty good premiere. I really enjoyed it. I really dug it. Today we got our second episode of Mandalorian. I think it was called The Mines of Mandalore. And I really enjoyed this episode. This episode was kind of like the epitome of why I love Mandalorian. It expands the Star Wars universe. It shows us new corners, new creatures, while also giving us characters and developments with characters that we care about. This episode really started to develop the relationship between Din and Grogu, as Din is now teaching Grogu the ways of the Mandalorian. As we saw in the last episode, Grogu is officially on training to become Mandalorian. I thought all that stuff worked really well for their relationship. We also got to finally see Mandalore, as talked about in the last episode. Din is on his way to Mandalore to try and get redeemed for his sins, so to speak, of the Mandalore. He has to pretty much baptize himself in the waters of Mandalore. And while on Mandalore, we come across some really funky creatures and monsters, and it kind of reminded me of that episode from Season 2 when Din and Grogu get stuck in that cave and all the spiders came out, and you had, you had that creepy creature feature kind of feeling to it. This is how that episode kind of felt to me, which I totally dug. I really had a fun time with this episode. But this episode, honestly, I think, was Bo-Katan's episode. Katie Sackhoff, I think is her name. I thought she was great in this episode. I thought they gave her a lot to do, a lot more than she's done in the past. I've never really cared that much about the Bo-Katan character, I'm not even going to lie. But I thought she had some amazing sequences in this episode. I thought she had some compelling character developments and character backstory revealed about her in this episode. We got to learn more about her and her family history and her history in general than we've ever learned before. And that's one of the things I'm also really enjoying about the season so far is the developing relationship between Din and Bo-Katan. There's some really interesting conversations between the two about their religions of Mandalore. There's this moment in the episode, I won't give the episode moment away, but there's a moment in the episode where Bo-Katan is kind of talking to Din about the pain that the old ways of the Mandalore religion, I guess the creed as they call it, caused for her family, the pain that she's endured through it. And Din just kind of totally brushes her off and just almost like an autopilot goes, this is the way. As in, like, that's the way it's supposed to be. That's how we should be. That's the way of the creed. And it was just this really cool, I thought, moment that totally gave you a real picture inside both of their ideologies and where they come from. I thought all that stuff was great. And one of the cool things, too, that they did in this episode was they kind of grew up Grogu a little bit. Grogu has always been this cute little sidekick. He's always done mischievous, goofy things on the side to make us laugh. But they actually gave Grogu something to do in this episode, which I thought was really cool. And Grogu had some pretty interesting, cool moments that I'm looking forward to seeing where they're going with Grogu for the rest of the season, because they definitely set up a story with him in this episode. But yeah, while this episode wasn't perfect, obviously, I do think that it dragged a little bit near the beginning, just a little bit. I thought the pacing could have been a little bit tighter, I felt, but I really enjoyed the episode. I thought it was a lot of fun, and I'm really looking forward to seeing how the rest of Season 3 of The Mandalorian unfolds, and I hope we get more stuff like we got in this episode. What did you guys think of Episode 2 of Season 3 of The Mandalorian? Did you enjoy it? Did you not like it? Did it not work for you? Comment down below. Let me know all your thoughts and opinions about this, guys. And without further ado, let's take a look at what you guys are saying about this.